Okay, so my name's Dami. I'm a property investor full-time. I've been investing in property since 2015. I've been doing creative property strategy since 2017. In a nutshell, I really enjoy what I'm doing, and property has completely changed my life, especially the last 2 years. Just, what I would say is the small cumulative actions that I've been taking day in, day out have just added up to massive results, really. And now I'm seeing the fruits of my labor now.
Awesome. So what happened? What was life like 6 years ago? Take us back to May the 1st, 2014. Like, what were you up to?
Okay, so I was working in the city in London.
Mm-hmm.
I was hating my job. I was working probably 14, 15, 16-hour days.
Wow.
For, I think £2,000 a month.
Wow.
And obviously living in London at the time, bear in mind my rent, I think, was $1,200. I had a car as well, train, do the maths. It doesn't even make sense.
Yeah.
So, every month was a struggle. I was making commission, and then that was going.
Yeah. My
salary just didn't keep up with my lifestyle.
Yeah, fair enough. So what encouraged you to make that switch? When did you why did you start thinking about property as a possibility?
Why I started thinking about property as a vehicle is because I thought to myself, what is safe, but what also has the potential to make me quite a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
And, when you only need to look at, the rich list, you only need to look at everyone who's made money in their life, and 99% of people, property always seems to crop up. So they can't all be wrong.
Yeah.
Now, the difference between, obviously, our generation and previous generations is you can't just go, you can't just go and get a 0% mortgage.
Yeah.
You can't just go and get a property. It's not easy. So you have to be creative.
Yeah.
And although I bought my first property in 2015, that didn't change my life. It was a buy-to-let. I put in about 20 grand. After, bills and expenses and things that I had to fix, I was probably netting 300, 400 at best per month. Now, it was only after I discovered alternative property strategies like rent-to-rent, like service accommodation, like delayed completions, like lease options.
Okay.
and actually realized that they work.
Yeah.
When it went to the next level for me.
Right. So those words you just said, for some people, would have flew right over their head. So most of us think, okay, the traditional way, if you want to make money from property, you save up, you get your deposit, you work hard to get the deposit. You work 1, 2, 3 jobs, maybe for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years. You save up, and then if you're lucky, you get to then only have to borrow and that's to get like a 10% mortgage if you're lucky. And then you put that on the mortgage, and then you have you've got the property, and then you have to repeat that whole cycle again. So talk to us about these creative ways of profiting from property. So the first one you mentioned was rent to rent. So enlighten, because I'm sure a lot of us haven't even heard of what rent to rent is.
Okay, so excellent. All right, I'll tell you a bit about rent to rent. The thing about rent to rent is I feel like it's had a resurgence over the past few years. People are talking about rent to rent, but rent to rent's typically not actually a new thing. If you look at the commercial side of things, a lot of commercial juggernauts, what they actually do is they rent massive office spaces out, and then they subdivide it into offices, and that's rent to rent. They've been doing this for years. This is literally not new. They've been doing this for years, but they dress up service office space or whatever they want to call it. It's rent to rent. Now, in residential, rent to rent, essentially what it is securing a property on a long-term lease in your company name, and then finding a way to add value to that property and make more money. It's as simple as that. So that could be by subdividing the property into multi-let. It could be by subdividing it into flats. It could be by dressing up the property and investing it, and then renting it out short-term for service accommodation. There are various ways you can do it, but the main thing is to guarantee that rent and to go and rent it out for more.
Awesome. So in a nutshell, guys, what that is exactly as Dami has said, it's literally renting, paying someone for potentially their property, and then with the permission to rent it out again, because that would be the first fear. Because again, there are some people in a fear mindset right now. You've already scared them with some of these words, right? You've already scared them. So I want them to know, like, no, it's not subletting. This is an official contract that is created, which, as Dami said, it has been in existence ad infinitum. The businesses have been doing it with, it's what barbers do with the barber shops that they use. Someone has either owns that space or has rented that space from someone and then has rented it out again to the barbers. So that's, in a nutshell, a really creative strategy. All right, cool. So, and how did you learn about this though? How did you you just do the research yourself, or? Yeah,
so if I'm honest with you, I'm somebody that believes in mentorship. So when I found out about rent to rent, I was actually living in Dubai at the time. And although I didn't want to do it in Dubai, I wanted to do it in the UK. I went out, I bought various courses, I paid for mentorship, and I learned the basics through that. But you know what I will say is, you can spend all the money you want on mentorship. The main thing that you need to do is you need to take action. You know, taking action is the biggest thing that you can do.
Now, since you started, you told us a little bit about your finances. You said, £2,000, you're working in the city all them hours. You're still making about that a month, maybe 2,500 a month. Like, give us like a little idea, just to whet their appetite as to what potentially
you can. Okay. So right now, I mean, I wouldn't take a property now that would net me anything less than sort of $750 a month.
Wow.
And right now I'm controlling 25 properties.
Wow.
So that's a ballpark.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. And then on top of that, I have, other businesses within property. So I have, my deal sourcing business. I also have my maintenance business. And also there's just various different ways you can make money in property once you're involved in property. So, I would say what I used to earn in a year, it's not uncommon to see that in a month.
Right. Wow. Netting your annual salary in a month.
Yeah.
This is going to sound weird, but Dami, how old are you?
I'm 30.
Wow. Younger than me, guys. I'm 33. Younger than me. So, all right, this is amazing. So, this is one strategy that you've outlined. Tell us another one. You mentioned a few there. So you've got the rent to rent idea. What else do we have?
Okay. So also another strategy is service accommodation. So basically, what that is essentially finding a house and then turning it into like a mini hotel. So when you do that, what you can do is you can increase how much you earn, because obviously instead of doing it on a monthly, you're actually providing a service accommodation where contractors or holidayers or leisure people might book for 1 day, 3 days, 2 weeks. And what we're offering is a cleaning service, all utilities provided, TV, basically everything that they can get in a hotel and more. Because also hotels don't typically have kitchens. They typically can't accommodate large groups. What you can do is, if you find a property with like, maybe let's say it's got space in the rooms, you can have like one single bed, one double bed, a sofa bed. So an ordinary 2 or 3 bedroom house might be able to sleep 7 or 8 people.
Wow.
Hotels can't compete with that.
No.
So you might be charging £200 a night for a house that you're leasing for £1,000 a month. And although £200 a night might sound expensive, when you break that down by 8 people, how many people? I mean, what's that? £25 a night, £30? I don't know the maths, but it's not.
25.
Not expensive.
Wow. Someone's asked in the comments already. How difficult is it to? Oh, so someone said, is that Airbnb potentially in terms of the service accommodations? Is that one of the platforms you could use for service accommodation?
Yeah. So, sorry, I'm just trying to get it off the comments again. Let me see. Okay, perfect. Yeah. So when it comes to service accommodation, you can use Airbnb, you can use Booking.com, You can use, you can set up your own Google listings page to attract direct bookings. You can use channel managers, and they plug into people like, Expedia, Trivago. There's various different platforms, but the main ones for me, which make me money, are Booking.com and Airbnb.
Awesome. And another question was, how easy is it to start rent to rent?
I think with the right guidance, it's very easy. Obviously, I mentor people to start rent to rent, and one common thing that I find amongst all of them is they can have all of the knowledge, but sometimes you need that accountability. Yeah. What have you done this week? How many calls have you made? Why are you struggling? What have you not done? I did a post recently about personal training. I've invested in 2 personal trainers.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, you got your personal trainer, yeah? Got 2 of them.
For the next 12 months. And it's like, so many people are messaging me saying, I've been going to the gym by myself for 2 years, and I've achieved more in 3 months with a personal trainer than I did in a whole year of training by myself. And I've been there. Sometimes you go to the gym, you start picking up weights, you don't really know what you're doing, you leave, you feel like, I did what I could, but it wasn't a great session. You go with a personal trainer, they're pushing the muscles, they're targeting the groups, they're telling you what to eat. It's almost a bit like, you don't want to let them down, so you're pushing yourself a bit harder than you would on your own. It's the same with property. A lot of people, they've got it within them, but they just don't want to push themselves because there's no one to push them, and there's also that a little bit of fear,
So, all right, cool. So when did you start mentoring? So who was your first mentor, or did you just mainly just Google and find books, or was there individuals that you kind of tapped into, or you always went to their YouTube, or maybe even connected with them directly?
Yeah, so I mean, with me, literally everybody, like, the name in Rent to Rent, Arsha Lahi, Justin Whittemore. There was a guy on the scene called Peter Singh back then.
Wow.
I paid him quite a lot of money. I don't really know if he's even doing it anymore, but like I say, I paid everyone I could just to get the foundations, just to stand, and obviously then I just took massive action.
Yeah. So the difference is the action, isn't it? Did you have any fear at all? Like, or was you just ready? You were just ready?
I was ready. Like, once I saw that I could make money from property without buying it, I was like, I was just completely ready to go. There was no stopping me.
Perfect. So the first place to start, would you say, okay, what's this going on in the comments? Oh, someone is after you as a mentor, I think. All right, cool. Yeah, definitely hit up Dami. You got space at the moment, or you full up with your mentees at the moment? How does it work?
How it works, I've got 2 spaces at the moment. When it comes to my mentorship, I don't really advertise it much at all, because I'm usually quite busy with my property business. But when people DM me, I just ask them to fill out a questionnaire, and then it's just selection based on that.
Perfect. All right, cool. So how possible is it? How much time should we kind of envision in our minds we would need to focus on this before it can replace our income? And how do we know when it's time to jump from our 9-to-5 that we hate to this? When did you make the transition? Was there a point, or did you just go all out from the get-go?
I went all out from the get-go, but I made the official transition once I'd had 5 units.
Okay.
And that was making me about, at the time, it's making me about 3K a month. And I was also sourcing about 1 deal a month, which was making me about 2K. So I was making about 5 grand a month. And I had like a little side business as well that I started in Dubai. So I was making about 7 grand a month. But it wasn't every single month. I'd say average about 4 grand guaranteed.
Gotcha. So tell us about Dubai. How did you end up in Dubai? Like, what's that about?
So Dubai was just literally me and my family. We just decided, we're still young. Let's go over there. There were some good opportunities over there. I know some people that were there from school, and it was one of those things where literally, let's just make the move. We're not sure, but in life, you've got to take risk.
Yeah.
And so many of my friends that are successful now. I've got a friend who lives in the US, Manhattan, full time. He just decided there's opportunities in America. I'm going to go there.
Wow.
In about 2 years, he made himself a millionaire. So, I think taking risk, calculated risk, is essential if you want to prosper in life.
And I think you've said something massive as well. And you said it to me personally. When I first called you and I reached out to you, via Instagram. This is something you said, and you've kind of alluded to it here again, how important the people it is that you surround yourself with, because if you weren't around people who were willing to take that risk and push and look for opportunities, I don't think it's a coincidence that you and your family thought about going abroad. You've got another friend who went abroad. This idea of the people around you, like, speak to us a bit about that. How important is that network?
It's so important, because subconsciously what it does is it shows you that it's possible. You know, if I look at all of my friends, every single one of them successful in their own right. And in that mindset, you bounce ideas off each other. That's calculated risk. That you know, the struggles that you might face in business, but you know, you've got people around you, almost like a mastermind.
Yes.
And it opens up different doors, because obviously if someone's successful in one field and you're successful in another, it opens up a lifestyle, and it opens up opportunities that it might only take you 2 calls and suddenly you're plugged in.
Yeah. No, that is huge. Like, I think that when people think about, you know, the success they want, let's read this. It's so important who you hang with. Show me your friends and I'll tell you who you are. Very interesting. Yeah, I agree, because it's almost like a shortcut. In a way, it's a shortcut to what you want, right? By just deciding.
I mean, let me tell you a quick story.
Go for it.
I said to my friend, you know, I'm thinking of buying a Tesla. He was like, take mine. So I took his for a week, and then although I enjoyed it, I didn't end up buying it. But it's just those little things where it's like, you know, you've got people who are like connected, you're connected, and then it just opens up doors that before that, you know, if you're hanging around with people that are dragging you down, then they drag you into, like, you know, problems.
Yeah.
But if you're around with people that are lifting you up, they're going to bring you in where there's opportunity.
That's massive. So how would you suggest, do we have to get brutal with our circle? Like, how? Wow.
100%. I mean, and you know, being brutal isn't, I'm not saying block all your friends, but I'm saying stop going to the club if the club is not bringing you anything positive. Stop doing the things that, you know, you and your friends were doing that aren't giving you any progress. And as you slowly start to take yourself away from these circles, you'll stop getting the calls. They'll stop inviting you to negative events and things like that. Do you understand? And then
they'll see you're not on it.
They'll see you're not on it, and then suddenly you might be at a networking event. You might see someone, they might connect with you, and suddenly you're putting yourself in an opportunity to network with people more on your level.
No, that's really powerful stuff. Really powerful stuff. What are some of the do you go to network events still? Do you still invest in those type of things?
100%. I think it's so crucial. My friend Dami Moses, he hosts networking events. Before lockdown, you know, I was going to them. I've started my own networking event. You know, I've got my own Facebook group where I encourage networking in Kent. I'm very passionate about showing the youth that this sort of stuff is possible. So for me, networking is crucial. There's so many people in our generation that don't have positive role models. You know, all they see is things that are, you know, not good, negative stuff. So I feel like it's a bit of a responsibility to show people these things, you know?
Yeah, someone just asked, where do we But yeah, so I think this is really powerful. And what I find interesting as well about this type of, I guess, building wealth is kind of the what's the word, the significance of actually doing property, because, you know, there is so much, especially for our culture, like owning something or controlling something or just that type of kind of wealth building through property is something that I think not many of us were taught about, right? Or didn't even potentially think it was possible. Like growing up, the things that might have been identified to us are, you know, go and get a good job, you know, certain industries would be more interest than others. But I think significantly, kind of the education that you're given, I think it's quite transformational, because it's like, it's real legacy. Do you know what I mean? It's real, because it leads to real ownership. Even if you're controlling initially, that can give you the capital should you want to own and buy, you know, and do all of that stuff. Do you think about it as well, just how significant kind of this area is? Does it cross your mind?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I think touching on what you've just said there, growing up, especially in an African household, you're not really encouraged to go into business. You're encouraged to sort of, you know, do education, be a doctor, be a lawyer. But society has changed now.
Yeah.
You know, you can earn more money, you know, controlling 10 properties than you can after 7 years in medical school. You know, things have changed now. And I feel like as society changes, as technology advances, we have to change with it. And I feel like when it comes to property, it's like, as you build in property, it's almost like you get paid twice or 3 times. You know, you're getting rent every month. You're getting paid if you own a property. You're getting paid with capital appreciation. You know, if there's a spike in property prices and property surges, you're getting paid again. And you know, even if you're looking at alternative and creative ways to raise finance, you can even raise finance against the property. So there's so many things you can do when you've got property that you know, if you weren't investing in property, you just wouldn't be able to do.
Yeah, no, that's huge. Someone asked in the questions, how many hours of work is 25 properties?
I have a team now, 5 people. So how many hours of work? Probably
maybe for you, what, like, how involved are you still? How hands-on are you?
Personally, because I love the business. You'll see on my Instagram, I'm very involved. I'm out pretty much every day, but it's not through necessity, it's through choice. So I would say probably I'm out probably 5 hours a day on average, so 25 hours a week, I would say.
Oh gosh, that's the dream. And that's you fully hands-on. That's because you like it.
Yeah, because I still, like, you know, closing deals, meeting with landlords, you know, telling my contractors what I expect. You know, I still enjoy the rush.
Yeah. Someone wrote in the comments, okay, someone's taking notes. They're like, okay, so rent to rent, serviced accommodation. What else? I'm intrigued.
Okay, so what else? So right now, recently, I've just purchased 2 properties. And how I've done that is I've used a strategy called exchange with delayed completion. So what that means is that I'll put a small deposit down and I'll exchange contracts so that, you know, I've got my registered interest on the house, and then I'll get in, I'll do the refurb, I'll force up the value, and then I'll delay the completion. So I'll complete at some point next year. And that's a great strategy if you don't potentially have a huge amount for a deposit, or maybe if you don't even have good credit. It's a great way into home ownership. And in between, you can lease the property and still make money in between. It's very similar to a lease option, except you don't have the option to buy, you have the obligation to buy.
Right. Okay, so guys, the lease option agreement is, as Dami said, you go to someone and you say, okay, I want to buy your house for a set price, but it's going to be in X amount of years, and you pay basically like a rent in the meantime. They say yes, but then it's an option to buy at the end. But you guarantee that you're going to buy it, right, in however many years' time. And you still rent in the meantime, so you pay a rent each month to them in the meantime.
Correct. And also,
go ahead.
If you can make it a little bit more advanced, you can negotiate so that rent that you pay, a portion of it actually comes off the deposit. Yeah.
Woo!
But
okay. All right. So let me get this straight. So and do you do this in the business name, or do you do it in your business name, obviously? Yeah,
it's much more efficient if you're trying to buy multiple properties to do it through your business. And I would always say, you know, seek professional advice. Yes, they're there for a reason. You know, my solicitor, some of the things that he's come up with, you know, I can only thank God, because he is a real expert in his field.
So I just want to go through that again, because I want people to hear this, because I think this one, again, and guys, look, I'm not saying go out tomorrow and do this, right? We're just planting this seed, because even if you decide to take 12 months to really learn about this, you've got 50, 60, 70, 80 more years to live with this new knowledge. So I just want to just let me just break that down a little bit again for you. You find a willing buyer, you pay a smaller deposit, you agree that you're going to buy the house later on at a later date. In the meantime, you pay a smaller rent, and then you are able still to rent it out in the meantime. Because someone's put here rent to own. So the rent to own is slightly different from the government's help to buy, because the government scheme, for starters, they probably won't let you rent it while they won't let you make money from it while you don't own it, right?
Yeah, I agree. They'll probably do everything they can to stop you making money.
Right. Right, the government will stop you. So it's like that principle, but the idea is you've still got full remit over using the property to make more money. And then if you're setting aside some of that income, because so basically you can couple it with another strategy, because if in the meantime you're either using it as a HMO, let's say, or if you're using it as a serviced accommodation, the money. Is this interview going to be saved? Of course. Yes, it is going to be saved. Don't worry. It will be on our IGTV and it will be on our YouTube. And then the money you can make in the meantime, if you're saving that or a portion of that, that again just goes to pay off some of that money. And then the kicker is that rent you're paying can come off the purchase price as well.
That's it. And also as well, another added benefit is potentially, as historically property prices always go up, when you lock in the price that you pay. So let's say you agree the house at 280k, and then in, let's say, next March when you actually complete, it might be worth 320k. You've made 40,000 just from existing.
And the seller, he can't renege on his contract, so he can't renege.
No, because obviously it's done properly with solicitors. It's not done on hearsay or a handshake. It's done with solicitors.
Yeah. Because both of you are running the risk, because it could go down as well. The price
could go down. Could go down, and obviously you've got the obligation still to buy.
Yeah. Oh, this is fire. I don't know how many fires that person just put there, but so all right. So we've got rent to rent. We've got serviced accommodation. We've got delayed completion. Since I mentioned HMO, talk about a little bit of, would the seller agree to this? Yes. Okay, talk to them about that. Why would the seller agree to this?
I'll explain exactly why my last two sellers agreed to it. My first seller, for the one I just did in Gravesend, they actually wanted to sell the property, and because of the current situation, they couldn't sell it. So they put it on for rent. But I said to them, listen, I've got a solution where I could potentially help you out. I'll rent the property, but I'm also committing to buying it from you as well. And I will buy it for closer to the price that you want, but not now. Give me some time. In the meantime, I will lease it from you at market rent that you're after. Or you could sit with it on the market, not making any money. It's up to you. And don't get me wrong, people will always ask, why would the seller agree to this? And the answer is, every seller won't. You have to, it's a numbers game. Out of every 10, you might get one that's interested. You might get two interested. You might only close one deal, but there's no such thing as an easy lunch. It's not easy to make money and do these deals. You have to be dedicated. You have to work hard. Nobody's saying that, sellers just going to be running up to you. Can I give you my house so you can make all this money on it? It doesn't happen like that.
Yeah. And I think the power of it as well is I guess, because I know you're probably well upfront with them. Like, this is exactly what it is.
Yeah.
They know, like, it's not, do you know what I mean? It's not hoodwinking anyone. Like, it's all there. Everyone knows what's going on there. Because this is the thing, guys. I think these are not get rich quick schemes. These are real business models, really, that I guess I feel like our community just hasn't had that type of knowledge. And I think you are someone who's just opening it up for our community. And I think that's huge. And I think we need to get out of that mindset of, that this is not multi-level marketing. This is not selling Avon products. This is not upselling and downselling and getting your friends. It's none of that. It doesn't belong in that category. So if you're used to those things being promoted to you and sold to you by your friends, put that in a different place, right? This is real business, real hard work, and real hustle, really. And tell me, so how do you approach like banks and things like that? And because I'm sure you're dealing with them a lot right now, and what you're doing. For me, I guess, and for many of us, thinking about speaking to a bank can kind of fill us with a bit of dread, right? But I feel like you're going in there with a whole different type of swag now. Like, how has it changed your kind of the way they maybe deal with you and the way you deal with them?
Yeah, I mean, I think that when it comes to banks, there's two things. Banks, they want to see, is this person good for it? If I give them any money, can they give it back? So the main thing, once the banks know that you're making money, they'll give you more money. And that's the irony of a bank, because when you need the money, if you're not making any money, it's so hard. But now, you know, they'll offer you money left, right, and center. You know, these companies, if they see that you're making money and they see you've got a track record, they will dish out the money. So with banks, it's a very pleasant interaction. You know, they're always offering me more money. And also what I'll say is, you know, brokers, good mortgage brokers, they deal with all of that for you. You know,
right.
You've got a good mortgage broker, you've got a good solicitor, you're going to do very well.
Yeah, building that power team, as they say. How did you build your team? Is it just people that were in your network, or did you get recommendations?
It was just recommendations,
right.
you know, kissing a few frogs, finding out what works and what doesn't, especially with contractors, because, you know, anybody that's in property will know that they can be very, very unreliable. So once you've built your power team, it's a really good place to be. And obviously, once you've worked with a few mortgage brokers, you know, they understand how you work.
Yeah.
Same thing with a solicitor. Yeah. Me personally, I don't mind paying a little bit more for my solicitor because he always gets the job done.
Wow. Love it. Love it. All right. So speak to us a little bit about HMOs.
Okay. So what exactly do you want to know?
So HMO, just tell them a little bit about the strategy of how they could potentially, even maybe the house that they're in, could become HMO. Yeah.
Okay. Well, essentially, in a nutshell, what a HMO is a house of multiple occupation. And, you know, typically when I first started, what I always used to look for was maybe like 2 or 3 bedroom houses with either big through lounges where I could put a partition wall, or separate reception rooms where I could make them rooms. Now, obviously, the main things to look for in a HMO, if you want to convert the rooms, is there enough community space somewhere else in the house? Whether that's a cellar that you can convert, a loft that you can convert, or more typically a kitchen that you can make a kitchen diner. Also, how many bathrooms? You know, 5 people typically don't want to share 1 bathroom. So in HMO, you're looking for minimum 2 bathrooms. If you can get 3, or if you can get en suites, that's an added bonus, even better. But I would say those are the main things you're looking for. Then after that, you want to speak with your council. You want to check the regulation. What do I need to make this a HMO? Typically, it's fire doors, smoke alarms, emergency lighting, just things to basically make the house safe.
Yeah.
Once you've got all of those in place, you apply for what's called an HMO license. And then once you get that, you know, you're good to go. Make sure you follow your regulations and you're good to go.
Right. And why would it be worth someone's while to do a HMO rather than just a single let, rather than just letting their property to one family? What's the benefit of doing a HMO?
Sure. Okay, so let me give you an example. In my area, for example, you can have a single family let. Let's say it's a 3-bedroom house. It could be 1,000 to 1,200. If you make that same exact property a HMO, let's say it's got a separate dining room, separate living room, you might have to invest maybe 8,000 to 10,000 into the house. But each room, let's just say for argument's sake, to make it easier, you could get £500 a month. You've now taken your income from that property from £1,200 a month to £2,500 per month, and it's the same property.
Awesome, guys.
1,300. You've more than doubled your income from the same house.
I hope you're following, guys. This is gold. This is gold, and this is free at the moment until we start charging for these IG lives. So what are you excited about? Like, what do you envision for your company, for your business? Do you have somewhere you're trying to get to, or is it just you want it to continue to grow? You're not really too concerned with like a final destination as such?
Well, obviously right now my company's controlling in total, like the properties I own and control, just like about £5.6 million of property. So my goal, I've always said that the number is like 50 million that I want to get to. But in order to get to that, I want to start, you know, acquiring land and developing on that land and essentially doing sort of like apartment hotels. That's the next step to where I want to go to.
Wow. 50 mil, small change, yeah? Small change.
Okay.
So someone's asked, what amount, I guess that's meant to be, do you need to put up front for a rent to buy? So I guess that's going back to the delayed completion strategy. How much does that initial deposit, how much, is that negotiable actually? I'm thinking
it's negotiable. You know, you can say I'll put 2.5%. I can say I'll give you 10 grand to sweeten it. You can say 15 grand. Like, it's up to you.
Yeah.
You can say 5 grand if they agree. They might not necessarily agree.
Yeah.
But it all depends on their situation. If it's been on the market for 7 months, they're desperate, they need money, they've been made redundant, 5 grand might sound like a lot of money.
Yeah, yeah. And it's helping them out. That's the point. And that's what I love about this strategy. It's a win-win. Like it's a win. It's finding that win-win for the buyer and for yourself. It's and because you want everyone to feel like they've made something out of it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay, right. So someone's put it in capitals now. How to find joint venture for SA? So how to find joint ventures for serviced accommodations?
Oh, in answer to that question, because I get asked a lot about like, how do you find a JV partner or how do you, etc. I think that you have to position yourself as a person of value, because if you just come out and say, oh, I'm looking for money, someone help me, anyone that's savvy and anyone that's got any money has got money because they don't just give their money out for no reason. That's it's not, you're not just able to attract money easily. You have to go and add value and show this person. Like if I was to invest in anyone, I have to see that they can bring something to the table. They've done their research and they're going to be an asset to me or my business. It doesn't always money, but you can't not bring any money and then on top of that bring nothing else. So you have to go work on getting yourself educated, get yourself in a room with the right people, understand the business models. That doesn't cost any money. And then, say to people, listen, I'm young or I'm hungry, I'm enthusiastic. This is what I can bring to the table. Let's work. And I'm sure get a lot more success than just asking for money. No, that's a big deal. And I think wanting that initial investment right at the beginning, I guess the answer might be they might have to work a little bit harder to save up that money themselves to start. You know what I mean? Because if that initial money that you want for the joint venture is your first deal, then I've got, as you say, I've got nothing to base it on. I'm basically taking a shot in the dark, hoping that you know what you're doing. But if you've had to scrape a bit, struggle a little bit to get that initial money together to do a deal or two, then that's something for me to buy into. That's how I feel anyway. I don't know if you agree or I don't know. I completely agree. 100.
Have you invested in other people? Do you invest in people yet, or you're not doing that yet?
I invest in people I invest in my staff.
True.
When I take my staff on, they don't make me any money straight away. It can be 6 months before I see a return on investment. But obviously, if I trust in the person and I believe in them, long term, that's what investing is. No investment is going to sort of bring fruition straight away. But if you put in that investment, it could potentially pay you for the rest of your life.
No, I like that. That's a perfect answer. I feel like you've had that question before. You had that answer in the chamber. I know.
It was off the cuff. This is the first time.
No, that's real. That is real. And that ability, I guess, to be able to invest in people and then again allowing you. So how do you? I'm someone sometimes who likes to control a lot of the process, right? How detrimental is that for those of us who are watching who they're like, oh, I want to do kind of all the bits myself? How tell me a bit about how detrimental that can be, and when did you move from, did you wait until you had enough income to start expanding the team, or was it top of the agenda right from the beginning?
For me, because obviously I started a lot of my business remotely, I was used to delegating things anyway. So taking on deals sometimes without even seeing them. All I see is the videos, and I'll do the negotiations, everything else over the phone and email. So for me, I'm a bit similar to you. I had this feeling in my head that I could do something better than everyone else. I always thought I could do the viewings the best, I can negotiate the best, I can do everything the best. But the truth is, there's other people that can do things just as well as you, if not better.
Absolutely.
So the sooner you get used to delegating, easier. Just because you can go and show someone a room and tell them about the nice areas and the fish and chip shop down the road and the nice, lovely nurse that lives downstairs, someone else can do that as well. You're not the only person that can do that. So once you learn to delegate, you'll realize that you free up more time to focus on high-value tasks in your business and what's going to make you the most money.
Love it. Someone's written there, Vicky Smith, how to start rent to rent. So what are the first steps to someone who wants to start rent to rent?
Go and get educated. Like if you ask me how to become a surgeon, you don't just pick up a scalpel. You get educated. You can't just start. You need to learn.
Yeah. No, I think that's big. And we know that cerebrally. That's what I'm saying about the mindset has to shift between this being some type of get rich quick scheme and actually thinking about it the same way. When we decided what our careers were going to be, we went to school, we took on the debt to learn something of which most of us aren't even working in that field anymore. But the point is we did that. So this is no different. This is not your brethren saying, you know, give me £200, I know a guy, and then in a week's time, in a month's time, you're going to get back 300. Do you know what I mean? It's not that. I think that is the mindset shift that needs to happen. Like, why should this shouldn't be, it's not a get rich quick scheme. It's like, I can't say it any other way, but because I think a lot of the questions that I'm seeing, I just feel like it's that we want. Do you know what I mean? We want the silver bullet, but it's not that.
Well, why I think that is I think property is one of those industries that, you know, if someone's doing well from property, you know, people might see the cars, you know, the watches, the lifestyle. But typically with all these other normal jobs like law and medicine, you know, you don't see like, you know, doctors on Instagram showing off 40 grand watches. You understand? So it's like, but the narrative still needs to understand that you have to work hard in property. You can make good money, but it's good sustainable money when you've got a good consistent work ethic and you're prepared to put the work in. It's not easy. And the problem is certain people out there in the industry make out that it's very, very easy and almost too easy. And as a result, people just associate it with, you know, it's very easy, or is it a scam? What's going on? And it's not the case. And obviously it's up to certain people to change that narrative.
Yeah, no, amazing. And so the team that you invest in, the staff that you have brought on, do you see them, does it rub off on them? Have some of them started to, you know, do their own deals and to look at things? Has it rubbed off nicely?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I've got a guy that I've hired in Bristol. He's doing amazing things. So expect more, you know, to see more deals coming out of Bristol.
Wow.
I've got, you know, when it comes to the sales side of things, he's the first person that I've employed in sales. But when it comes to, like, you know, my social media manager, my maintenance people, my property managers, you know, it's all coming together now, you know, my contractors. So it's like I'm in a position where I can take on so many deals and I've got a team in place. And then obviously on the, you know, admin side of things, you've got, you know, solicitors, the mortgage brokers, etc. So yeah, I mean, I'm seeing definitely a change because, you know, I'm in a position where I don't have to spend so many hours doing things that I don't like. Now, look at my Instagram, I'm just driving around all day doing whatever I like in property, which is great for me.
I love it. And you know, but what is key there is that you are not afraid to reinvest back into the business. Like my favorite philosopher, I call him a philosopher, Nipsey Hussle, he always spoke about all money in, right? All money in, no money out. And I know you take a little bit of money out because I've seen the whip, I've seen the Porsche, all right. But we can clearly hear from what you're saying that you don't feel any way about reinvesting a lot of money back into the business. How did you come to that realization?
The truth of the matter is I came to the realization when I realized that all the things that I want in life, you know, a nice house, a couple of nice cars, shopping once in a while, holidays once in a while, is not actually that expensive.
Yeah.
So when I came to that realization, when I realized as well that, okay, yeah, I've got a few nice things, but, you know, sometimes, you know, I might spill a milkshake on the seat. I'm not that bothered. It's just a material thing. You understand? It's not that big a deal. What actually I enjoy is going out, getting the deals and building the business. The money is just like a secondary thing, which is nice, but it's not, you know, if you chase money for your whole life, you'll never be happy.
Yeah.
So that's when obviously, you know, reinvesting into the business became a no-brainer.
Yeah.
You know, it's obviously, don't get me wrong, no one's asking for poverty.
No,
but you know, having excess cash is, you know, I'd rather reinvest it.
Love it. Okay, someone said, okay, yes, they've asked a couple of times, is a 3-bed HMO worth it?
Not in my experience. A 3-bed, I'd rather do service accommodation. It all depends. I mean, the question I would ask is, where can you get the margin? You know, if you're doing a rent to rent on a 3-bed, typically you're getting the margins from your 4th and your 5th room and 6th room. So 3 beds, not in my experience. If you own the property, then potentially, yeah, it could be worth it.
Yeah.
But if you're doing rent, I've not personally seen it. But obviously, if you have, I'd be interested to know how the numbers worked.
Yeah, yeah. So it's about that. Cool, great. Yeah, that came through a few times. So there you go. So that stacked up. And how important is or what was your maths like prior to this? Were you quite good with numbers? Because this is a very, you know, numbers orientated business in the sense of, does it make sense? Well, let's plug it into the spreadsheet. Let's see.
Yeah. I personally hate admin. Everything to do with admin. I hate admin. In my head, I'm okay with numbers. I'm not bad. Yeah. But I just try to simplify it, you know? Yeah. If I can keep the rooms full with paying tenants and the rent is a good price and I know on average what the bills are going to be, I tend not to overthink it. Okay, my phone died, so I'm on another phone.
No worries. We've only got literally Instagram probably give us another 7 minutes before they cut us off. So cool. Yeah, so just guys, any final questions? Okay, what due diligence should you do on SA, on a service accommodation? What due diligence?
What I would say with regards to a service accommodation, the due diligence is look, are there any hotels in your area? You know, those hotels, what is their occupancy like? You know, how much are they charging per night? Obviously, if they're charging £50 a night, if you can only get an SA that works when you charge £60 a night, that's not going to work.
No.
So that's one part of due diligence I would do. Secondly, I would look at the house. If it's a flat or an apartment, you know, is short-term leasing, is it allowed? Do you think that there'll be potential problems with the neighbors? You know, you've got to look at the area and think, put yourself in the shoes of the guest. Are they contractors that are going to have 5 vans? If so, is there parking? You know, little things like this you need to think about when you're taking a unit so you can understand, will this work for my guests? Yeah. So you also need to not just look at the numbers, because the numbers might work. Yeah. But then if all your guests are complaining about there's nowhere to park, or Susan upstairs is always smoking and we don't like it, you know, you're gonna get bad reviews, and as a result, it doesn't work. So you need to look at the numbers, but also logistically, can this still work?
Yeah, no, makes complete sense. Makes complete sense. Ashley asks us, do you prefer working with agents or direct to landlords?
Oh gosh, it's a difficult one. I mean, I like direct to landlords because what I found is there's some landlords out there, you know, they might be the most humble people you've ever met, and then they own like 200 houses. And once you've got them on side, and it's all about building relationships. Once a landlord trusts you, I get at least 5 calls a week. Dami, I've got this property, are you interested? I've got this property, are you interested? From different landlords and agents, because I built relationships with them. You know, they get their rent on time. They've seen what I've done to the property. I'd like to say I'm a man of my word. So obviously what I say is what I do. So now I would say that it's probably 60% in favor of landlords. Wow. But when I started, I used to hate agents because all they used to say was no. I used to hate agents with a passion. I used to hate them because I was calling them and I was speaking to, you know, 20-year-old agents, 22-year-olds that didn't know anything about property. They just, all they cared about was commission. And they were saying, no, sorry, we don't do company let. No, I'm not interested. So, you know, I was calling them, I was sending them emails, I was flying into London and meeting up with them, flying into Kent from Dubai to meet with them, and I was really putting it in. So when I got my first deal from an agent, they ended up giving me 4 more. So now it's like a lot of the agents I work with, they give me deals, but at the start, and trying to put myself in your position, I hated agents with a passion.
Wow, 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 wow.
You know, landlords at least used to hear me out.
Yes, but the agents were like, no, we don't do that. And sometimes it's because they don't even know what it means. Like company let, like, oh, it's long. I can't be bothered to find out what you're talking about.
Exactly, and they'll just say, no, we don't do it. And they hang up straight away. But that's where thinking outside the box comes.
And this is like the creativity that you brought to it is amazing. What legal work do you need to SA, such as a company name, etc.?
Okay, so obviously what a lot of people assume as well is they assume that every property has a mortgage. A lot of properties are actually unencumbered and they don't actually have mortgages. You know, I've got a lot of landlords I work with that have huge unmortgaged portfolios. But let's just presume that the property has a mortgage. If it has a mortgage, you need to check with their mortgage provider that it does permit
the property to be used for short lets or service accommodation.
Right.
And if it doesn't, that's not the end of the world. There are plenty of insurances in place that you can even offer to broker yourself via your broker. So that's not a problem. Also, you need to make sure you've got the correct contract in place. You can't take an AST and then sublet. That's illegal. What you can do is lease a property in a company as a company agreement or a company let, and then you've got full sort of jurisdiction to, you know, sublet it as you wish.
Awesome. This will be the last one because I don't want them to cut us off, or I don't want to cut off midway. How do you find reputable builders? Yeah, this is a big one. Like, how do you find workmen that you can trust?
Listen, it needs to be through one, referrals or recommendations. Did Bruno the builder or did Bob the builder, did he finish the job? Was he reasonable priced? Yeah. Was it a good quality? And also, what's really important with builders, I find, is that you need to see how they are with money. You know, if a builder is suddenly, you know, pestering you for money when you've agreed you pay him a certain amount here, a certain amount then, and then a certain amount when it's finished, that's a bad builder. Because obviously if a builder is desperate for money, that shows me that they don't know how to manage their finances. Maybe they're not a very good builder.
Yeah.
Maybe they sort of like take jobs when they can.
Yeah.
So that's one red flag. And I would say another red flag with builders is just, you know, their professionalism.
Yeah.
You know, if you meet them and they're not professional and they're just trying to steer you in a different direction because maybe they're not competent, be very worried.
Right.
Because there's a lot of cowboy builders out there. You don't really need any qualifications to become a builder.
Absolutely.
Anyone can just say I'm a builder and put an ad out.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's a bit of trial and error. It's referrals, it's recommendations. And, you know, once you've got a good builder, you know, keep them close.
Yeah. Awesome. Dami, thank you so much. I don't want us to get cut off. Before it does that, tell us, you know, how we can obviously keep in touch with you. We know at Dami_property lifestyle.
So my Instagram is Dami_property lifestyle. I've got a Facebook group as well.
What's your Facebook group called?
It's called Property Investors in Kent with Dami.
Okay.
I also, before COVID, I was doing free events. After that, I'll continue to do the free events, but I'm also doing paid boot camps where I give you sort of all of the documents you need to run a business, you know, and I give you sort of a breakdown on exactly how it works. And we actually run through my course manual on the day. I'm doing that on the 31st of this month. I think I've got two spaces left. So that's going to be a great day. If you're interested, DM me. We can have a chat about that. But yeah, listen. Yeah, so my website for mentorship inquiries is in my bio on Instagram, but that's www.damiproperty.com.
Awesome. Dami, bro, thank you so much. Thank you for the help that you've given me. You know the help you've given me. And I just want to keep in contact with you because, you know, I want to keep a network of people around me who can really help to take me to the next level. So thank you so much, brother. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in. Please do get involved with what Dami is doing. I really believe that this type of knowledge can transform your life. But as Dami said, the main difference is taking massive action. So I look forward to hearing your stories. Dami, have a great day. Don't work too hard. I will speak again soon, brother. Peace.
Luke, thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate you bringing me on.
Anytime, brother. Anytime. Blessings, man.